Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Schreffler. We are the sound. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a great show for you. It's a great day. We got some excellent content because there is a lapse in some sports intelligence out there in sports talk shows today. So we make sure that every show we come here with nothing but excellence and perfection. So you're welcome, America. You are very welcome for us being here for you. So without further ado, let's get right into our show. Let's get talking about what we need to talk about. So some somewhat breaking news, even though it's a couple days old now. DeAndre Hopkins going to the Tennessee Titans. He took a 2-year, $26 million deal. He had only visited the Titans and a team that was on our today's top 5, which was New England. Ultimately decided to go with Tennessee. We had talked before the show, and our overall thoughts on this deal were just kind of confused. I mean, we get it. DeAndre Hopkins, he had said and led on, during this whole process that he wanted money over a ring. He was chasing the check and just wanted to be in the best financial situation, and that, to a certain degree, is fine. I understand that. But, Steve, I'm going to ask you a series of questions that I think you'll know all the answers to. Out of these two teams, New England and Tennessee, which team had the better coach or has the better coach?
New England.
Which team has the better defense?
New England.
Which team has the better quarterback?
New England.
How about the better offensive coordinator?
New England. Who was his head coach at the Texans?
Texans. And who has the better culture?
The Patriots.
Yeah. Tennessee only has money, and their deal was not that much different. So New England's deal was more incentive-based, where it was they were going to give him around the same total amount per year, but it was like, hey, you got to work for it, which if you're going to be in this better situation with a better coach, a better quarterback, a better team around you, why not go for it? Like, I understand, like I said, he's trying to get her not after the ring, after the money. He would have still gotten the money in New England and put himself in a winning situation. And I mentioned this to you earlier, Steve. I think it speaks a lot about New England not being able to sell their program and their culture and their franchise as being a place to be. I understand, but I don't. I understand this decision from DeAndre Hopkins.
What did you say was on his laundry list of things he said he wanted from an NFL team?
A quarterback that loves the game, a great defense and defensive line, and stable management.
So that, to me, just, it's almost like DeAndre Hopkins chose the easier route. He's had 15 injuries in his 9-year career. I know all of them weren't serious injuries, but one of them, an MCL tear, a grade 3 MCL sprain, concussion. So at some point in time, you want to think, okay, DeAndre Hopkins should be worried more about, okay, let me get my ring that I've never gotten. Let me try and make a playoff run. And he chooses the option that isn't going to get him there because, like you and me have said, the quarterback is a super, super important piece of a championship winning team.
Yep.
Well, Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, and Will Levis.
Yeah.
I understand why he wants to go there because I think that from a standpoint of they needed a big receiver, he fills a need for that. But on a standpoint of winning, like wanting to, like the end result of the season, it just sounds like he's chasing a bag over anything at this point.
I think someone in New England made a bad pitch or a bad sale because you can go New England and say that, like, if I'm the Patriots, I say to DeAndre Hopkins, look, you help us figure out Mac Jones. You help us win a couple more games, maybe sneak into a playoff spot, to a wild card spot. You take this money, which was going to be almost the same now. You work really hard. You get the money, the extra money that you still want, and help us get that extra mile. And then next year, you will have earned it other teams will look at you and make competitive offers. So even if you don't retain him, he can still chase that bag, would be a part of your team and winning right now. So I think New England not being able to make that pitch and secure a receiver of his talent speaks a lot to New England's falling as a franchise, and that's a shame.
The Patriots just don't have, apparently what this is telling me is the Patriots just don't have what a player wants to go there.
Apparently not. I don't know.
That's confusing.
Yeah, again, I think DeAndre Hopkins just said, give me the money, and good to him, but he could have had the money and the glory and then maybe got more money had he just put the work. Like, it just seems lazy to go to Tennessee. It's just like...
you hit the nail on the head. I think that's what this is. It's laziness. He took the team that offered him the most guaranteed money now instead of having to work harder for incentives. And, maybe he saw the writing on the wall. Maybe he saw Jalen Ramsey and Sauce Gardner over there in the same division and said, I won't be able to hit those incentives in New England if I go there because I'm going to have to go against the toughest competition every single time I'm on the field, 2 of the top 5 cornerbacks in the league. I don't know, but it does sound very lazy.
DeAndre Hopkins is a Titan now. Cool.
Good for you.
I don't... Yeah, this makes no difference to me about it. Like, I think, now we talked about, I think the Titans can move up in their divisional rankings, but I don't think it makes any difference within the league as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's kind of whatever.
No, it's, I think we hit the nail on the head on this one. I think DeAndre Hopkins is just lazy and was looking for the most money he could find.
Yeah. Moving on to our next topic, staying within football in the NFL, we are going to continue our divisional ranking series. If you missed last episode, this is our second time doing this. Steve and I are ranking each team within their division leading up to the kickoff of this new season. We just did the AFC South 2 episodes ago.
Yes.
So now today we are doing the NFC South. We're trying to get all the bad divisions out of the way, and then as it gets closer to the league, we'll start getting the good ones. So the NFC South, not great. We're going to start from the bottom and we'll work our way up. So what we think is the worst team in this division, number 4, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Finished 7-10 this past season, 13th overall in the NFC. A bottom 25 offense and defense. They're just a bad team. Bijan Robinson has to carry. That's the only way they're going to be able to do anything. Like I said this to you before the show, I think there's a possibility that Bijan Robinson could maybe not lead the league in carries, but he could certainly be up there in one of the 3-5 running backs with the most carries in the league, just because they have no other options. Like, they really don't. Like, here in my notes, what I have is bad quarterback, bad coach, bad defense, bad team.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll tweak a little bit is I think it's more of an unproven quarterback, not so much bad yet because he's he's played 4 games, he's thrown 2 touchdowns with 700 yards. So he hasn't done anything bad yet. So far, what we've seen him do, he's averaging a smidge under 200 yards a game, and he's thrown for 2 touchdowns. So,
yeah,
we don't know if he's bad yet, just unproven. But the Falcons, they're in complete rebuild. They have been for years now since the Matt Ryan era. I think that Bijan Robinson is a generational running back talent, though. He had 4,300 yards from scrimmage in college while he was at Texas. They got him at number 8, and a lot of people are surprised he didn't get taken a little sooner than that. I told you that if the Eagles got him, I was going to make a bet that night.
That moment, yeah.
That moment that they were going to win the Super Bowl. I still think they go there and win, but Bijan Robinson is a talent, but it's not enough. It's not enough to get you to some contending echelon, so they deserve to be at 4th.
Yeah, and to speak to Robinson, I mean, I've seen a lot of lists already have him as a top 8 even running back in the league already. He hasn't played a snap.
He's the highest paid running back in the league, and he hasn't played
already. Yeah. And just to speak to the Falcons, you had ESPN on the background that said they had 6 first rounders out on the field. Is it on offense that they have the 6 first rounders? Yeah.
And they said it was in the last few years, like first round picks, like in
the
last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so like you said, they're just in full rebuild, and we got them at the bottom spot of the AFC or the NFC South. Number 3, Carolina Panthers. Also going 7-10 last season, 11th in the NFC, so just missing the top 10. 29th in offense, 22 in defense, so not quite as bad as the Falcons. Bryce Young, I have a question mark next to his name. I am
Number
not
one
going to.
overall pick.
Yeah, good. I think Bryce Young is. I kind of want to say maybe like a little bit like Justin Fields, where you're not going to have the impact right away. Maybe a lot of people are going to be like, this kid's trash. He might be a bust, not what he was in college, blah blah. Which I think that more or less that happens a lot more in the NFL than the NBA, where it's if you're really good in college and coming to the NFL, it's hard to replicate that same success unless you're truly special. I think Bryce Young has that potential. We'll just see if he actually can live up to it. I think Miles Sanders is going to be much more important to their season than Bryce Young will be. Adam Thielen, is he becoming washed? Maybe. Not what he was in Minnesota for sure. I mean, fine, good for him. But like I said, I think Miles Sanders will be excellent for Carolina this coming year. The defense is bad, so I think they're going to be a bad team. Carolina at number 3.
Yeah, Bryce Young, I'm not buying the hype. I was not big on the draft class for quarterbacks this year. Bryce Young, yeah, okay, what he did at Alabama. But listen, one thing you got to understand about quarterbacks that play at Alabama is that they have first-round NFL draft picks surrounding them on their team. I mean, most of their teammates they'll play with or against in the NFL. So when you have that high a caliber, it's really easy to look as good as Bryce Young did. I'm not saying he's not going to be something. I just don't believe in Alabama quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't believe that they're as good as what they're made to look like in college because of the talent that surrounds them on their team. Miles Sanders, I believe he'll be a top 10 running back in the league this year. Adam Thielen's going to be a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman-esque player, just small little slot receiver that gets you 800 yards a season. So they fit perfectly at 3. And I could also see a potential Falcons at Carolina finishing the same record this year. So
Carolina number 3. Now number 2, who we initially had at number 1, and then upon further discussion and research, we get switched. So number 2, we have the New Orleans Saints. Now let's explain why we have them number 2. Also went 7-10. They are the 19th best offense and a top 5 defense in the NFL. They were 12th overall in the NFC. I have never been a Derek Carr guy. I don't think Derek Carr is. I think Derek Carr is a fine and average starting quarterback. Like, he is not someone you're looking to build around, but he's a little bit too good to be a backup. He's just like a baseline starter. He's fine. Health is going to be the most critical thing for New Orleans. Haven't seen Michael Thomas in what feels like forever.
Since he set an NFL record.
Yeah, I made the comparison. He's the Kawhi Leonard of the NFL. Like, he just never, like, he's so good and so talented and could be a top 5 player in the league, but you never see him out there. You just don't. New Orleans defense, I think, is a lot better than the other teams. Probably the best defense in this division. I think the biggest, like I said, the question mark is going to be, can Michael Thomas be out there and be healthy? And I mean, I expect nothing more from Derek Carr than I have his whole career with the Raiders.
Do you think that Derek Carr is that much better than Jameis Winston? Because I personally don't.
Yes, I think he's like clearly a better choice. Yeah, I don't think they're that similar, like that, like in that close. But
I just don't think either one of them are the guy. Like, I don't see them being that much better of a team just adding Derek Carr, because it's not about like when the moment shines the brightest, Derek Carr is not there.
Yes,
and that's what matters.
Yeah, and I think the most important 2 people on a football team are the quarterback and the head coach, and both those positions are not very greatly filled in New Orleans. And the reason we had the number 2, we had more reasons for the other team being number 1 than we did number 2. So let's just go right to them. So number 1 in this division, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think us explaining this will make more sense of why we had them number 1, like I said. So Baker Mayfield is going to be their starting quarterback this year. They were 8-9 last year. Top 15 offense, a top 10 defense, and they made the playoffs, although they lost to Dallas 31-14. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. I have said on Scandal Sports Hour that Baker Mayfield has already proven he can turn your franchise around. The Browns, for my entire life, were the worst team in, like, literally one of the worst teams in all of sports. And he went there and was there one season, and they made the playoffs. Like, that's just what happened. Now, Baker Mayfield did not play great in Carolina, had a little bit of resurgence in Los Angeles, and I think he still has a very promising upside for his career, which, who knows how much longer that will be. You go to Tampa Bay, where I think Tom Brady still might be lurking around the facility from time to time, maybe can give Baker some pointers. Bruce Arians, as you mentioned, Steve, a good head coach, a proven winning head coach. They have really good weapons out there with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Their offensive line is always one of the best in the league. Everything is set up for Baker Mayfield. The key to their success is going to be Baker Mayfield. And I think with all these people around him and the program and stuff, it can be a really good fit for Baker that he can come back to form. And I think that will happen this year. And because of all that, I think that will give Tampa Bay the edge over New Orleans. So that's why we have them at the number 1 spot.
Baker Mayfield has never really gotten like a fair shake with a team. Like the Browns gave him a fair shake, but once again, they were still the Browns.
Yeah.
So this is probably the best team / organization that Baker Mayfield will have been able to play in.
Sure.
This will be his 6th season. I think that the Buccaneers will have a good season this year. I have them going 10-7 to win this division. I think that they could be an 11-6 team, but I have them at 10-7. But I think that Baker finally is going to have like 2 receivers that he can really trust and work on a relationship with and work on timing. And I really like that pickup for the Bucs, missing Brady, obviously, but I don't think they get worse.
No,
even with Brady leaving.
Do you remember the comeback that Baker led the Rams on to win the game? I want to say it was a 14-point comeback.
Okay.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the score or whatever, but this is kind of like that metaphorically. Like, Baker's got to lead a comeback for himself. Like, this is a Baker Mayfield comeback. He's got all the tools to do it. I think he's going to do it. And like I said, I think between a great offensive line, 2 great receivers, and a great head coach, he's set up to be successful. And I think he will do just that. He's proven that he can be successful. And again, turn your franchise around and prove and play winning football, which he did in Cleveland immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Tampa Bay at number 1. So to go back through the NFC South 1 through 4, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 1, New Orleans Saints at number 2, the Carolina Panthers at number 3, and the Atlanta Falcons at number 4. And that is your NFC South. We'll see how we do. I think, wouldn't it be crazy if we get all these divisions right? I mean, who are we?
We are the Sound. So
yeah. So I'm not going to be shocked if we do.
Breaking news, real quick. Saquon Barkley is not expected to report to the training camp for the Giants. He is unsigned and cannot be fined for missing camp.
Ooh.
Adam
There's been
reports.
growing tensions amongst the league with running backs and getting paid.
Yeah, bro. I will say that that's one thing. Just briefly to touch on, PSA to the public here. Running back position is super important. And the fact that Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, and Josh Jacobs are not signed running backs in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing.
I was going to say.
And they're not signed. 4 of the top 7 or 8 running backs in the league, not signed. Shame on you. Shame on you, NFL.
Moving on to our third and final segment of today's show, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Soundbite. And now, in case you don't know what soundbite is, I'm going to tell you. Soundbite is when Steve and I react to different clips, post-game interviews, someone says something on a podcast or just says something interesting that we want to take a listen to. We listen. So for today's soundbite, we once again are talking about Zion Williamson, although he is not the soundbite. Moriah Mills is claiming that Zion Williamson hit her and is not the person he says he is, and also owes her a large sum of money. So let's take a look at that.
I'm just tired of saving face for this man that's completely disrespecting me to the world, and I literally have to take this. Every time I come on the internet, people are bashing me because of this man, literally, and I'm tired of it. He knows, he said he's gonna send me $62,000. I have yet to receive that since June. I'm literally here, like, he's literally a liar. You guys, everything he says, he's a liar. He's not who he says he is. I literally been saving face. I did not want to come to the world and let you guys know what he has been doing to me my entire relationship with him. He is a woman beater, and the NBA needs to know this. I literally did not want to come to this because I know he has so many endorsements. But Zion Williamson is a woman beater. And the reason he was paying me off is so I won't come to the world and tell everybody.
Can you hear that?
Is he singing?
No, he's peeing.
He's peeing?
With the door open.
I can't hear it now. This is on live TV.
So there you have it. That was Moriah Mills saying things. Whether they're credible or not, I don't know. Steve, we each have some very strong feelings about this video and this clip. So you want to go first? You have at it.
Yeah, let's just call this what it is, Cam. This is plain old-fashioned extortion. I mean, she continuously mentions Zion owing her money, mentions his endorsements. She's threatened to drop sex tapes in the bat. Like, you can't tell me that this isn't plain old-fashioned blackmail. This is extortion. She recognizes that Zion made a mistake, and now she is going to use whatever platform she deems necessary to go out here and just spew misinformation to try and drag Zion's name through the mud. And for all of you out there who could be saying, oh, she's just making this up, why would she do that? Yeah, well, I've got 197 million reasons why she would make this up. And that's Zion's 4-year guaranteed contract that he just recently signed. So I feel bad for her that she feels the need to spread this, to talk about this, to use her platform in this way. I wish that this could be figured out off of social media and camera, but Cam, I really don't have much else, but this just sounds like some plain old-fashioned extortion to me.
Yeah, look, I don't want to come out here and say that she's a liar or that she is making up her abuse situation, but
Allegedly.
Well, here I mean, here we go. I guess I'm going to say just that. She's a liar.
Yeah.
She if you want to technically call her an actor cuz she is in adult films, fine, but she's a bad one. I don't believe her fake crying. I don't believe her fake crying. I also you hit the nail on the head with extortion, where it's like she's like, he owes me this money and he's paying me off to say that he didn't hit me and all this stuff. Yeah, I just think she's a crazy person. Like you said, there are girls who just aren't, they have a couple screws loose. They try to take all they can, and she just might be one of them. I mean, none of it seems credible. And I think now, if she hadn't done the Twitter antics that she had done and threatened to drop the sex tape and stuff, then maybe I'm believing her. She says that, I got to come out here and save face and say all these things because of what's happening. But, like, she destroyed her reputation, like I'm saying, with this Twitter stuff and the other stuff she pulled. Like, what's she saving face for? This just makes things worse.
And
I
I
don't.
want to know what face she's saving. She's a porn star. Like, it's not like you work in a glamorous industry as it is.
Yeah. So I'm just not buying this. And I, all jokes aside, I really do hate to say, like, you're making up an abusive situation just for attention and clout. And maybe the point of this is like, you could look at it, because she is a crazy person, look at it as like she's saying, look what I'm doing right now. If you don't give me this money, I'm only going to do more things like this, but worse. Like, I just don't believe her performance at all.
There's a lot to be worried about with Zion's mental health too, because those things that he was posting on his Instagram story, they were concerning, because he's posting like, suicidal comments. So I don't know where Zion's at mentally right now. I don't know where the truth begins and the lies start. And I think that's what's so frustrating about this whole ordeal is we really don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who are unaware, I forgot we were going to talk about this. Zion had posted some. I don't remember the exact verbiage that he had on his story, but it was pretty much saying, "Man, I'm super depressed," or it was like, "I never thought suicide would be on my mind," or something to
Yes,
that
that's
effect.
exactly what he said.
Yeah. So, and I think that plays a large role in, like, man, I'm falling out of shape and out of my NBA stardom. I have all these people telling me I'm too fat, or I'm not going to be good enough, or I need to stay on the court. Like, all these heavy expectations from NBA players. He has his girlfriend who's pregnant. He has Moriah Mills who's pregnant, so he's going to be a dad to 2 different
Did we
children, which is a
confirm?
whole.
Did we confirm she's actually pregnant?
Who?
Moriah Mills? Was that a
She
fake
had
thing she
posted
put
the
up?
pregnancy test. I don't think we know it's Zion's yet, but I'm saying, okay, well, we're so take out, maybe it's not his baby. That's a good point. So he still at least has one on the way. So that whole level of responsibility and expectations. Then he also has this girl who maybe they had a nice inner relationship before this, but now he finds out who she really is. She's making all these posts about him, saying all these things about him, and that adds a whole other layer of drama. So his mental health probably is taking a huge tax right now, and that's a shame. And I feel bad for him that all this is happening all at once. It's a lot to deal with at still a really young age.
Yeah.
So I hope Zion figures it out. I hope that he's claimed he has good people around him to help him with this. But I think more than that, I hope he's got friends and family and people he loves that he can rely on and support on, not just to show him the way in this professional, always in the spotlight NBA world, but also in terms of just in general how to be a man and deal with these things and getting himself in his own situation right. Like, that's a whole other element. We often forget that athletes are regular human beings and people too. So hopefully he's got all these things in place to help him out and he gets better sooner than later.
This is just I think this should also be a life lesson to a lot of the younger players in the NBA. This is the second young player in the NBA that are having issues off the court, Ja Morant and now Zion. So, I think what this should show, be careful who you're having your relationships with, because you never know when they could start to affect your personal and your work life.
Yeah.
But B, you have to be super careful just in general of what is able to hit the media. Because if you make decisions that are on camera, like Ja with the gun, Zion and whatever tapes this woman is threatened to release, you just have to be super careful with those things, because the wrong footage today can really, really get you in a lot of trouble.
Literally, as I was about to go into the intro or the outro. And that's going to do it for us today. Another great show, great efficiency, had some good stuff for you. It's a nice variety. We will be back this coming week. We're going to have we're probably going to continue our NBA series with the top 20 players. That'll probably be coming up. We'll keep bringing you the best sports news and information. And listen, always remember, if you are ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, just listen to the sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.